Let's compare two of the biggest smartphone updates, Android 16 versus iOS 19. Oh, sorry, I mean iOS 26.
Bruh.
Whatever. I mean, we'll see who brought the most innovative features, who copied who, and which update feels more meaningful overall. And hey, this is hands down the most in-depth comparison of these two updates yet on YouTube, so if you find it helpful, why not just drop a like? I'm not even joking, it seriously helps me keep motivated on making these yearly comparisons just for you guys. Thanks guys. Let's start with the big stuff. And surprise, surprise, both Apple and Google decided that it was time to redesign their entire OS. So now iOS is rocking this new look called Liquid Glass, while Android's rolling out Material 3 Expressive. And honestly, they couldn't be more different. On one hand, you have Apple, who's going for a more premium, glossy, transparent look with glass-like elements everywhere. And on the other, you have Google, who's going for a more playful experience with bright colors, giant buttons, funky fonts, and bouncier animations. And you know what? I actually see the appeal in both. When Apple's Liquid Glass hits just right, like with the perfect wallpaper and lighting, it looks insanely good. Those transparent widgets and icons actually look gorgeous. And I've got to hand it to them. The way the glass effect adjusts between light and a dark mode is super clever. But here's the thing, transparency isn't always going to be friendly. With some backgrounds, the text is actually going to be harder to read. And the fact that you can't adjust the opacity or just turn it off completely, except on the home screen with your icons and widgets, can be a real headache to some in the future. Hopefully Apple tries to fix this readability issue in a future update. Now on the Android side, even though we haven't seen the complete Material 3 Expressive rollout just yet, it's mainly just the system UI in the latest beta and none of the apps, I'm already really liking where it's headed. The bold colors, new shapes, and subtle but purposeful animations make Android just really fun to use again. And here's what I really appreciate. It's not just flashy for the sake of it. The UI actually responds in ways that actually make sense. Like when you swipe away a notification, the rest of the stack gives you a little bounce animation too. And when you choose to not swipe it away, it'll just snap back in place with a little jiggle. It's a small thing, but it honestly just makes the whole experience feel more responsive and intentional. Same with closing apps in the recent screen, you get bouncier animations too. And those big buttons you're seeing in menus, they're not just for show, they're the ones that you're most likely going to tap on the most, and that's why they're bigger. And when you toggle something in the quick settings, not only does the color change, but the shape changes too, so you know for sure you just did something. And of course, unlike Liquid Glass, there are no readability issues here either. Everything's bold, clear, bright, and easy to see. So yeah, while Apple's new look is undeniably pretty, I think Google's design just makes more sense day to day. Now aside from the fresh new looks, both OSs came packed with a bunch of new changes that really polished up the whole experience. But hey, that doesn't mean one didn't swipe a few ideas from the other first. Let's start with Android 16. Google totally revamped the notifications and quick settings panel. Notifications are more compact and spaced out better now, but the real upgrade is in the quick settings. Just like on iOS, you can finally resize the tiles and then shrink them down to a tiny 1x1 or keep them chunky at 2x2. Plus, you can still rearrange them however you want as well. Oh, and when you're organizing them, they're actually grouped logically now, matching how you'd find them in the system settings. That said, I still gotta hand it to Apple here. iOS's control center is just way better overall still. Their controls have way more flexibility with sizing. Some of them even have built-in sliders, which is cool. You can also search for controls too, which is something that Android still can't do with their tiles. And iOS can even tuck some controls into the folders. The only thing people might not love is the new Liquid Glass look. It's super glossy and futuristic, but yeah, a little harder to read at a glance. This next one's small, but kind of funny actually. Android status bar icons now look suspiciously like iOS's. The internet signals are split up just like on an iPhone, and the battery icon is horizontal with a percentage inside of it. And even when you plug it in, there's now that same little lightning bolt. I mean, come on. Personally, I still miss the old look though. Now the lock screen is where things get really fun because both OSs went all in on some tweaks. Starting with iOS, they really leaned into that whole Liquid Glass vibe again, especially with the clock and notifications. If you tilt your phone around, you'll notice that the edges bend light like a prism on the clock. Plus, you can even stretch the clock's digits extremely tall. and they'll still tuck behind your wallpaper subject. From there, its size even adjusts when notifications start flowing in, which honestly, I think looks really sick. Another cool trick is that when music plays and you tap on the album cover, the artwork takes over the entire screen. And for some tracks, you'll even get little animated video loops, kind of like Spotify's Canvas feature. Native Android used to have full screen album covers like this as well, but yeah, they removed it a few years ago. Samsung still has it though. And one last lock screen thing for iOS, they've added this 3D wallpaper effect where the subject of your photo pops out and moves with your hand. It looks super cool, but it's not totally new. Pixels have had something similar for a while now called cinematic photos. The main difference though is that iOS is able to hide the clock behind the subject for that extra depth effect. Android doesn't do that part yet. Now on the Android side though, the big lock screen addition is something called Live Effects, which makes your wallpapers more engaging. One of them is called Shapes Frame, which basically cuts out the subject and frames it into a fun shape that animates as you unlock the screen. You can even change the shapes around in the colors too. Then there's weather effects. If you set it to local, your wallpaper will actually mirror your real world weather in your area. So if it's raining outside, your screen will also drizzle. If it's snowing, snowflakes will also fall in too. Or you can force these weather effects to always load up if you'd like, no matter what the weather is outside. iOS doesn't have anything quite like this, but they do have a built-in weather wallpaper that changes based on the conditions, just not with your own photos. When it comes to phone calls, both OSs tossed in some handy features, though Apple's playing catch-up to Android OEMs here. Here's why. Apple added Hold Assist, which keeps your phone on hold for you and pings you when the representative comes back. They also finally added call screening too, so if an unknown number calls you, your iPhone can answer for you and ask the caller who they are and why they're calling. But Google Pixels and Samsung phones have been doing this for years, and their versions are beefier too. You can reply with preset responses, or on Samsung, you can even just type out your replies word for word. Meanwhile, Android 16's new phone tricks are all about scam blocking. For example, if you're on a call, your phone literally blocks you from sideloading apps until you hang up. That way, scammers can't trick you into downloading anything shady. It also locks down other sensitive permissions too. And get this, Android cannot detect in real time if the person you're talking to is trying to scam you, no matter if it's through a call or a text message. Now that's something iPhones can't do. Then there's Live Updates, which is pretty much equivalent to iOS's Live Activities feature. If you're using apps like Uber, DoorDash, or Google Maps, a little pill will pop up in the status bar which lets you see the real-time progress when you tap it. It's handy, but again, nothing new. iOS has had this since the iPhone 14 with the whole dynamic island setup. The only thing though is that Android does provide a better progress bar interface to really see the status of the item. Android 16 also finally supports audio sharing, so if your friend has Bluetooth LE audio headphones, you can both listen to the same thing at the same time without awkwardly sharing one earbud. Again, iOS has had this with AirPods for a while too, but it's nice to see Android finally adding it. There are also a ton more smaller features that each OS added that the other already had for years. I'll breeze through these real quick so you don't get bored. Let's start with all the things that Android's been playing catch up with. Firstly, Android 16 finally added battery health in the settings, so you can check your battery's condition and the remaining capacity. iOS though has had this feature for over 7 years though, so there you go. Android also added the ability to choose where your contacts get saved, so you can pick which Google account you want to sync them with, or even just store them locally on your phone. iOS has let you do this for a while too. Android also added system-wide measurement switching between metric and imperial. Cool feature, except iOS has had this too since 2019. Better late than never, I guess. Now for security, Android 16 rolled out this new advanced protection tool that's like a security blanket against online attacks, sketchy apps, weak connections, and other threats. Super helpful for people who aren't super tech savvy and might accidentally click on a shady link. But Apple's approach is way more hardcore with lockdown mode. It's not really made for the average person, it's for people who are high profile targets like journalists, politicians, or celebrities. It basically disables all sorts of stuff, message attachments, FaceTime calls from unknown numbers, wired connections, even public Wi-Fi gets blocked too. It's kind of like putting your iPhone in a digital panic room. And lastly, Apple introduced something called adaptive power, which helps your phone quietly stretch battery life by dialing things back, like dimming the screen or slowing down some tasks. Android phones have already had a similar feature like this for a while called adaptive battery, which works in pretty much the same way. Now, before I move on with these crazy updates, I can't even tell you how many times I've ended a call or finished a meeting and instantly forgot half of the things that was said. Things like addresses, numbers, deadlines, poof, all gone. Happen to me all the time. And unless I had one of the newest smartphones or latest Android updates, recording phone calls in the US wasn't possible yet. But that's not a problem anymore, because I now use these earbuds called the Vaim Rec Dot, the sponsor of this video. Sure, they work like regular earbuds, letting me listen to music, but the real magic is that they can also be used to record anything on your phone or anything around you. Things like phone calls, conferences, personal notes, whatever you need. Like the other day, I was on a Zoom call with a phone company and they were rapid firing specs at me. Instead of scrambling to take notes, I just popped open my Rec Dot's case, put it near my computer, hit the record button, and boom, everything got captured. And if I had been wearing them already too, I could have just long pressed the stem and started recording right from the ear. Super easy. Later on, I opened the Vaim app, and not only was the whole thing saved, but I could summarize it, turn it into a to-do list, separate the speakers to see who said what, and even translate it at up to 16 languages. It's pretty wild. Plus, my favorite feature about these headphones is that when you're in a phone call or watching a video, it also lets you pull up this floating window, which literally gives you a live transcription of what's being said in real time. Now that's really handy. And yeah, even outside of recording, the earbuds themselves are really solid. Great sound quality, strong noise cancellation at up to 48 decibels, a customizable equalizer in the app, and they can even connect to 2 devices at once. So if you've been wanting an easy way to record stuff on the go or just need smarter earbuds, definitely check out the Vaim Rec Dots. They just dropped on Amazon too, so I'll leave a link down below if you want to take a look. Alright, back to the updates. Now when it comes to AI, this is truly where Apple just can't keep up. Google is just miles ahead. Like remember when Apple announced Apple Intelligence at WWDC 2024? They hyped up all these amazing new AI features, especially the revamped Siri, but now a year later, what do we actually have? Basically just a glow effect around your screen when Siri activates. Siri still can't hold a conversation, it's not context aware, it's not reliable, and if you ask it anything even remotely complex, you'll either get a generic response, a web search, or even nothing at all. And honestly, the only reason it's semi-useful now is because Apple plugged in ChatGPT to do the heavy lifting. Plus, most of the responses from ChatGPT aren't even properly formatted, so you'll usually just get large chunks of paragraphs. Now compare that to what Google's been doing with Gemini Live, and it basically blows Siri out of the water. You can actually talk to it like a person, like full-on back and forth conversation. You can even use your phone's camera to show it the world around you and ask questions about what you're seeing.
What do you see?
I see a green Android figurine on a table in front of a brown leather couch. Is there anything specific you would like me to do with this information?
What does that pillow right over there on the couch say?
It looks like that pillow says hello on it.
And the best part is that you can interrupt it mid-sentence, ask follow-ups, and it just gets you, like talking to a real person. Meanwhile, Apple just rolled out Visual Intelligence, where you can press the camera button, or action key, snap a picture of something, and get info about it. Cool, except Google's been doing that for 8 years with Google Lens. Oh, and in iOS 26, you can also scribble over something on the screen, and you can also search it up that way too. Again, Androids have been doing that for years with Circle to Search. It's even easier to pull up too, since you just need to long press on the nav bar. Then Apple announced Live Translation, which lets you easily translate all your conversations in some of their apps. Like in FaceTime, you get live captions now, iMessage, you get text translations, and then phone calls, you can actually speak, and your words that you speak get translated in real time too. Now, that's great to see, don't get me wrong, but Androids have had all these things for years. In fact, Google is so far ahead that they've just dropped direct speech translation in Google Meet, which is way better than Apple's FaceTime captions. And they just dropped Google Beam, which is this insane 3D video call experience that makes it look like the person is standing right in front of you, straight out of a sci-fi movie. And that's only scratching the surface. At Google I/O 2025 this year, they also released Veo 3, which is a video generation tool where you can just type out a prompt and it literally generates a full realistic video with synced audio. That's pretty unheard of. There's also Try On, which lets you try on clothes virtually using a photo of yourself. And Gemini's new agent mode, where it can handle complex tasks for you, like finding an apartment within your budget with specific amenities and actually browsing the web, filling out forms and clicking buttons to get the job done. It's the kind of tech that I thought we'd only see in movies. Meanwhile, one truly original AI feature that Apple introduced is Genmoji, where you can create your own emoji from a prompt or a picture. It's fun, but yeah, that's kind of it. Finally, let's go over some of the coolest stuff each OS brought to the table that the other one still doesn't have yet. Starting with iOS 26, one thing that really stood out to me is how boarding passes work in Apple Wallet now. When you add one, it doesn't just sit there with your flight info. It can actually show you step-by-step directions to your gate inside Apple Maps. And it also lets you track your luggage right from the Find My app. And you can even share your live flight status with friends or family. Now that's really helpful when you're rushing through the airports. Now compare that to Android, where you add a boarding pass in Google Wallet, you basically just get the QR code and other flight info too, which is totally usable, yeah, but Apple definitely went the extra mile here. Over on iMessage, you can also now change the background of any chat, even use dynamic wallpapers, and everyone in the conversation sees it too. You can also drop polls in group chats, request money with Apple Cash, which is perfect for splitting bills, and use these new spam filtering tools that clean up your inbox by dumping random messages into a hidden unknown senders tab. It's kind of like Instagram's message requests. Now, sure, a lot of these features already exist in WhatsApp or Telegram, but here in the US, most of us are stuck with Google Messages, which doesn't do any of that yet, even with RCS conversations. One thing we do get for spam filtering is basically auto-deleting one-time passwords after 24 hours. But yeah, Google Messages still has a long way to go. Several cool updates also dropped in Apple Music. You can now get real-time lyric translations for any songs, and even see lyric pronunciations so you know exactly how to sing along. But my favorite part is that it now uses AI to mix songs like a legit DJ. Beat matching, time stretching, all of that. It sounds smooth and seamless when switching tracks. On Android, I have to use Spotify, and yeah, it has auto mixing, but it's just basic crossfading, nothing fancy like beat matching or time stretching. And even though Spotify is testing lyric translation, most people, including myself, still don't have that feature yet. And if you're on YouTube Music, well, you're out of luck there. None of these features actually exist there just yet. Oh, and this is a small one, but Apple Maps now has a widget that shows traffic for your specific commute before you even leave. I'm a little jealous of this because on Android, Google Maps has a widget that only shows you the general traffic in your area and not any specific route. Okay, now let's flip the script and talk about a few things that Android 16 does that iOS 26 doesn't. First up, desktop mode. Android 16 finally gave this feature a serious upgrade. You can just plug your phone into an external monitor and boom, you get a full-blown desktop experience. And yeah, it looks and feels a lot like Samsung DeX now, and that's because Google actually worked with Samsung on this. So now you've got resizable windows, a full app drawer, window snapping, and more. It's smooth, polished, and honestly, pretty awesome. iOS, on the other hand, has no desktop mode. Then there's this new feature called notification cooldown. Basically, if your phone gets spammed with a bunch of notifications all at once, Android will automatically lower the volume and vibration and shrink the banners to make it less distracting. Super helpful when someone's blowing up your phone. iOS doesn't have anything like this. Sure, you can use focus modes to limit notification sounds in general, but it doesn't automatically adjust the notification volume or vibration if an app sends multiple alerts in a short span. Also, Android 16 lets you customize the double press of the power button, letting you set it to launch Google Wallet instead of the camera. iOS doesn't have a way to remap the lock key, though to be fair, the action button on newer iPhones is way more customizable overall. So yeah, that's a look at the biggest new features in Android 16 and iOS 26. If I had to crown a winner this year, honestly, I'm giving it to Android 16. Don't get me wrong, Apple's new liquid glass design on iOS looks really cool at first, but after a week or two, that new car smell wears off and you start to notice how hard it is to read text in certain spots. It's one of those things that slowly drives you crazy, like, why do I have to squint every time I check my phone? Android's Material 3 expressive design still feels more dynamic. You've got better animations, brighter colors, fun shapes, and easy to read text. It just feels alive too. Plus, the Android OS is just way smarter than iOS in general, and it's all thanks to those advanced AI tools that Google is packing into it. It's seriously next level. iOS just isn't quite there yet. But hey, that's just my take. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear which OS you think came on top this year. Also, if you want to see how past updates stacked up, tap this playlist right here. I've done breakdowns just like this for years. Or check out this video over here to see what Samsung just dropped in One UI 8. Thanks for watching till the end. Drop a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!